A man sits across from someone he cares about. He's made a mistake. Small or large, doesn't matter. He explains himself. He justifies. He softens his voice. He modulates his tone to get her to understand, to forgive, to come back to him. And he realizes something in that moment. He's not actually talking to her. He's performing for her response. He's orchestrating an outcome. He's treating her like a problem to solve instead of a person with her own mind. And that's when control becomes a prison. Section 1. The performance trap. Most men never notice this. They spend their entire lives trying to engineer the responses of people around them. If she's angry, they fix it. If she's distant, they close the gap. If she doesn't understand, they explain better. They treat other people's emotions like machines with the right input-output formula. Press the right button and get the right response. Except people aren't machines. And the more you try to control their response, the more you lose yourself in the attempt. This is what psychologists call impression management. Constantly monitoring how you're being perceived and adjusting accordingly. You're reading her face for clues. You're softening your voice. You're choosing words you think will land best. You're calculating. You're performing. And you're exhausted. Here's the cycle. You make a mistake. She reacts. You panic about her response. You enter fix mode. Planning, calculating, performing. You monitor her mood like a stock ticker for signs of success or failure. If her mood shifts, you interpret it as your failure. So you redouble your effort to control her response. You become more desperate. And that desperation, she feels it, and it makes her trust you less, not more. So the cycle continues. You're always checking, always adjusting, always trying to read the room. You're never secure because her mood changes, and you interpret that as evidence that you failed. But you didn't fail. You set an impossible task. You tried to control something that was never yours to control. A man in this cycle lives in constant negotiation. With her, with his boss, with his friends, with everyone. He's always performing, always adjusting, always trying to be the version of himself that gets the reaction he wants. It's exhausting, it's unsustainable. And worst of all, it doesn't work. The more you try to control someone's response, the more they sense the desperation and pull away. Section 2. The Stoic clarity. Epictetus was enslaved. He owned nothing. He had no power, no status, no control over his circumstances. Yet he was one of the most powerful minds in history. Why? Because he understood something that most free men never learn. The distinction between what's in your control and what isn't. He taught, some things are in your control, others are not. In your control, your effort, your belief, your will, your response. Not in your control, other people's opinions, their feelings, their choices, their response. This isn't pessimism. This is the line between power and powerlessness. Here's what most men get wrong. They think accepting that you can't control someone's response means giving up. It means not trying. It means indifference. That's the opposite of what it means. It means you can care about someone deeply and still accept that their response to you is theirs to own, not yours to engineer. Let me be clear about what this actually means in practice. You hurt someone. You can acknowledge that. You can understand the impact. You can communicate clearly. You can commit to change. All of that is in your control. What's not in your control is whether she forgives you, whether she comes back, whether she trusts you again, whether she feels understood. That's her choice, her timeline, her process. Most men confuse the two. They think, I acknowledge the hurt is the same as she accepts my acknowledgement. It's not. Her acceptance is hers to give or withhold. The moment you accept this distinction, something shifts. Watch what happens when a man truly understands this. First, he stops performing. He stops modulating his voice. He stops calculating which words will land best. He stops reading her face for approval. He just speaks his truth. And something shifts in how people perceive him. He's no longer desperate. He's no longer trying to be accepted. He's just present. And presence is actually attractive. Desperation never is. Second, his relationships become real. Instead of managing other people's emotions, he can actually be with them. She can be angry and he doesn't panic. She can be hurt and he doesn't rush to fix it. He can sit with her experience without needing to change it. He can witness her pain without making it about him. And paradoxically, that's when people actually move toward him, not because he manipulated them back, because he's finally real. Third, he gets his freedom back. When you're constantly trying to control someone's response, you're enslaved to their mood, their preferences, their reactions. You're reading their face for clues. You're adjusting your behavior based on their temperature. You're not living your life, you're managing theirs. The moment you accept that you can't control their response, you're free to focus on what you can control, yourself. This is the actual power move. Not more manipulation disguised as strategy. Actual freedom from the need to manipulate. Section 3. What this isn't. Let me be clear, what accepting this doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're callous about impact. It doesn't mean you avoid responsibility for your actions. It means you can acknowledge that you hurt someone without needing to fix their feelings about it. You can make a mistake and own it without needing her to forgive you immediately. You can say something true without needing her to agree. You can act with integrity without needing her validation that you're a good person. The man who tries to control response lives in constant negotiation. He's always checking, always adjusting, always trying to read the room. He's exhausted. He's never secure because her mood changes, and he interprets that as failure. He tried to engineer the right response, and it didn't work, so he failed. But he didn't fail. He set an impossible task. The man who accepts that he can't control response lives in clarity. He knows what he can do. Be honest, be kind, be responsible, act with integrity. He knows what he can't do, make her feel a certain way, guarantee her response, ensure her forgiveness. So he focuses on what he can do. And ironically, when he does that, people trust him more, because he's no longer trying to manipulate them. There's a trap here that smart men fall into. They think, if I can't control her response directly, maybe I can manipulate it subtly, be mysterious, act unaffected, use psychology tricks. This is still trying to control her response, just more covertly. And it still fails for the same reason. People sense inauthenticity. She doesn't know consciously that you're performing, but she feels it. She feels the calculation, and that creates distance, not connection. The Stoic alternative is different. Don't be mysterious to control her. Be honest. Don't act unaffected to seem strong. Be genuinely clear about what you control and don't control. That authenticity is what actually creates connection. The man who's at peace with her response, not performing peace but actually at peace, is actually attractive. She can relax around him because he's not desperate. Section 4. The practice. Here's how to actually do this. The next time you want something from someone, understanding, forgiveness, agreement, love, notice the moment you start trying to control their response. Notice it without judgment. You're doing it. Almost everyone does. Notice the tone changing. Notice yourself softening your voice, choosing certain words, reading their face. Notice the calculation. Notice how it feels to be performing instead of being. Don't shame yourself for it. Just notice. Then stop. Not harshly. Just stop. Say what you actually think. Do what you actually believe is right. Accept their response, whatever it is. If they're angry, let them be angry. If they're hurt, let them be hurt. You're not responsible for managing that. You're responsible for your part your honesty, your effort, your character. This is where real practice begins. A real example. You made a mistake in a relationship. Instead of explaining, justifying, softening, trying to get her to understand, you do this. You acknowledge the specific action. You state clearly that you understand the impact. You take responsibility without making excuses. Then you commit to specific change, not vague intention. Specific action. Instead of shutting down, I'll say, I need 24 hours to think about this. I'll come back and we'll talk about it. Then you stop. You don't add more. You don't monitor her response. You don't check if she's forgiven you. You've done your part. Her part is hers to do. What changes is everything. You become lighter. You become more attractive. You become more trustworthy. You become more yourself. Not because people suddenly like you more, but because you stopped needing them to. Section 5. The irony of Stoicism. Here's the actual paradox. The moment you stop trying to control other people's responses, you become the kind of person people actually want to respond to. Not because you manipulated them back, because you're finally real. Think about who you actually trust. It's not the person constantly trying to impress you. It's not the person reading your mood and adjusting. It's the person who's solid, the person who says what they think, the person who does what they say, the person who's not dependent on your approval. You trust that person because they're not desperate. They're not performing. They're just there. The man who doesn't need her response is the man she actually wants to be with. Not the performance version, the real version. And that version only emerges when you stop trying to engineer her feelings and start focusing on your own character. Think about the historical figures you respect, the men who changed things. They weren't trying to control how people perceived them. They were trying to do what they believed was right. And ironically, that clarity, that refusal to perform, is what made them powerful. People followed them not because they were manipulated, but because they sensed something real. You can't control her. You never could. The only thing you could ever control was yourself. The moment you accept that, you're free. And that freedom is more attractive than any manipulation ever was. The next time you're trying to engineer someone's response, remember, she has her own mind, her own timeline, her own process. Your job isn't to manage that. Your job is to manage yourself. Be honest, be responsible, be clear. Do what you can do, accept what you can't. That's not weakness. That's actual strength. And it's the only kind of strength that lasts.